I see charity deplored, equal rights totally ignored, wisdom and ingenuity working in accord, simply to afford such inventions as thermonuclear warfare and environmental warfare. And I wonder now, where do we go from here? Profits everywhere. Gaze upon the horizon and declare that judgment will come as the savage hands of unscrupulous men pile everything pass by. Time is running out as we eat and drink species at the brink of being extinct. And I think no one can deny that the price of progress is
Don't call my name. Hey, could it be my call?
I see consciousness has great as the day we live recklessly. Money make egos inflate and thereby I see a struggle between the sexes, new conflict and old complexes. Now the question is, right in context, what shall be next? I've already seen this would have come divided between race, color, creed and class. And some of the things the scripture fully come to pass. Soil that wouldn't fear children of this falling mass. And I ask, if this is progress, how long will it last?
Children from one of our schools in the West, young girls behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle.
Parents who breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teach us.
Well, I want to tell Mr.
Today, when I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sand by walking through time. I see fruit of our ambition, segment of our imagination. And I ask myself, when will it end? When will it end? It is plain to see, universally this land is not bountiful as it was, simply because in its quest for success, nothing stands in man's way. All rivers run dry. Soon the birds will fly, the mountains will be no longer high. And when I really think of it, I just wonder why, oh why. I see charity deplored, equal rights totally ignored, wisdom and ingenuity working in accord, simply to afford such inventions as thermonuclear warfare and environmental warfare. Where do we go? Profits everywhere. Gaze upon the horizon and declare that judgment will come as the savage hands of unscrupulous men pile everything pass by. Time is running out as we eat and drink species at the brink of being extinct. And I think no one can deny that the price of progress is high, real high. poverty, consciousness as great as today. We live recklessly, money make egos inflate, and thereby create a turbulent state. I see a struggle between the sexes, new hang-ups and old complexes. Now the question is, right in context, what shall be next? I've already seen this world have come divided between race, color, creed, and class. And some of the things the scripture predicts should fully come to pass. Soil that wouldn't bear children, making children to be a part of this growing mass. And I ask, if this is progress, how long will it last?
You run girls now for all in the bathroom. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore, but you bring the girls for all, you know. Including Kama.
You're going to use the bathroom?
Yeah, she runs Zami.
Yes, indeed. Of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, as we, of course, examine critically, as best we can, of course, with the resources that are limited to us, but nonetheless, I think sufficiently potent, sufficiently available to us at our disposal, and of course, able to utilize, I don't want to say manipulate, but to utilize at our disposal, we can, of course, have an appreciable understanding as to the circumstances of Trinidad and Tobago as it is today. Indeed, we can, of course, make an evaluation as to what the future will hold. And this, of course, is based on the contemporary and not so contemporary, but nonetheless not so far away. I talk about the last 9 years, beginning with 2015, what the realities have been, what the experiences have been, to draw the conclusion that we consistently and without fear of contradiction, and as part of the imperative to improve our circumstances, both economically as well as, of course, the democratic processes. After all, this situation is nestled in a fundamental principle, recognizing that we are creatures and we have agreed as a society to pursue a democratic tradition. And democracy, I cannot overemphasize, government by the people, for the people, and of the people. Of course, there is let's say, not a parallel, but certainly a juxtaposed position that speaks about, of course, vox populi, vox dei, which is, of course, converted from Latin to English, simply means the voice of the people is the voice of God. But it must be a genuine one. It must not be one where it is tainted or the ointment has been sullied by the intervention of human beings who have an agenda on their own and would manipulate, now I think this is the appropriate word in this case, manipulate the system in order to stay in government. That is called, of course, as I've always repeated, auto coup. We don't want any auto coup. We want a genuine, of course, a genuine and unadulterated democratic process. And we must come to the inescapable conclusion that because a fella tried once and he tried twice, and there's a third opportunity coming up, that somehow that propensity to be unfair, to be dishonest, to load the dice, so to speak, in order to get an unfair advantage, such individual or individuals cannot be trusted. And here is where Rowley and his team must now account to us, and who or in whom we cannot take any chances, having regard to what we know. You see, they are accustomed or will continue, of course, to plead not guilty. Well, that is a typical conman, a typical criminal. We know that. Rowley is yet to admit that the Vincent Nelson matter, he is aware of, you know. He is yet to admit that. He is yet to admit in clear words that he orchestrated the situation where the former commissioner of police, now turned political leader of NTA, I'm talking about Gary Griffith, that he made an intervention to prevent him from being considered for a second term as commissioner of police. We cannot forget that. We cannot forget that it was Rowley before the public got to find out. And we are seeing it unfolding right now with the situation with Stuart Young. When they are caught with their pants down, or put another way, when they are caught with their hands in the cookie jar, when they are faced with the Hobson's choice, meaning that no choice, and it is clear like day for everybody to see, they then of course engage either in pretending to be a victim, one, or two, they look for ingratiations. We must feel sorry for them. And three, they either get pipped or, in other words, remain silent on the matter. Yes, we have seen it with the early investigations, and Rowley's, of course, instead of talking to the police or his national security minister, he being abroad, and the fake oil scandal broke in Trinidad, he called the man at the center of it the owner of AV Drilling. And as we said last night, Rowley cannot escape culpability. He cannot exculpate himself from being indicted for not only being biased, not only being self-serving, not only attempting to gain and sustain power by foul means with his foul mouth. Yes. And as we concluded last night, if AV Drilling was an associate of the UNC or Kamala Prasad Bisesa, bet your bottom dollar Rowley would have been up and down the country saying foul play, particularly in circumstances, because he would have claimed that they use the force and the office they hold and the authority of that office to keep AV Drilling, to not only give them money, but to resume a bigger contract. That is what Rowley would have done. And I implore you, I beseech you, whenever the question of Rowley and this government comes up, the members of this government, always based on the information we have so far from since 2015, easily do a supplanting. In other words, put them in the position, and then you will be able to assess what they will do in such a situation. How vociferous would they be? How aggressive would they be? How opportunistic would they be? After all, it is politics, yes. But there cannot be this blazant unrelenting, reckless, brutal assassination of people's character and personality, and that is par for the course. You see, even in that circumstance, Rowley will say, and taking what I consider to be an unmeritorious high ground and talking about moral and ethics, and he will tell you when it is convenient for him, like if he wants to, like when he wanted to get in the government, that of course if a government cannot solve the problem of crime, they are part of the problem and should be getting out. Is he getting out today? Is he getting out because the answer, because it's a rhetorical question when you ask the question about crime and criminality. But of course, we can also apply that questioning to what? To the economy as well. And how the hell he ain't getting out? How the hell? So, the point I am making here is that when Rowley accused others of something that ordinarily one should take a moral and ethical and right and wrong position, you have to place Rowley in the position and his government and say, well, what they would have done in such circumstance. And the answer will be clear. The answer will be clear. And I warned, and I continue, of course, to focus that here we have an existing situation where in the 2025 budget and the presentations, we have seen other iterations of rehashed or regurgitated issues from the past, whether it's property tax, or whether it be the argument for the country having to bear more pain and ache and agony into the second quarter of 2027, and understand the dichotomy, the hypocrisy, and the deceptiveness that has stereotypically this PNM Rowley-led administration is guilty of. So let me start as usual. Of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, east, west, north, and south in Trinidad, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is the Corridor Transformation, your host, Lennox Smith. My apology for, of course, exiting this morning pretty early. Well, as soon as Mikey came on and I got a little thing, because I was a bit tired and at the same time under the weather, and I was feeling too, of course, that there is an energy gap. Yeah, so I thought it was important, of course, to try to fill that gap, to fill that vacuum with a little sleep, for example, and so, of course, get up in time for tonight's program. So you will forgive me if you were looking this morning and I suddenly had made an exit on the ground report, because this is not about fame and fortune. This is about patriotism. This is about getting a cadre of persons, and I'm talking here preferably all of Trinidad and Tobago, to understand that the Rowley government and the PNM, its toxicity knows no boundary. It has weaponized government against the people, and that their devious behavior will continue. Today we see that they are totally and absolutely paranoid. And of course, they claim that the PNM is the longest serving party, and every time, of course, the institutions or the systems or the different departments of the PNM functions with ease and smoothly. That is what Rowley will try to have us believe, in a different scenario than what it is today. Because not only was he wrong and should have been embarrassed, but can't be embarrassed because they know, all of them, including Rowley, that he have no right to be prime minister or leader of the PNM for that matter. So they know that. So what they will do is cover up, is make believe, is engage in theatrics and histrionics, and lie, as we demonstrated last night, in order to stay where they are. And if the country believes, as we are traditionally a people of peace, and want, of course, removal of a government by the ballot rather than by the bullet, rather than by violence, and Rowley and they understand that. And I want to say, because there are people who believe that if 100,000 persons go on the street, Rowley will call elections. But let me tell you something. Did that occur when Eric Williams was faced with the Black Power movement? You can't ask for more people on the street than that. But he held on until it was constitutionally due, even though, of course, he would have engaged in harsh measures like deploying the police and so on. And I want to say that that is an option because, of course, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, in spite of Rowley's orchestrated protests against her administration, whether it be Rishmi, whether it be, of course, Section 34, she too held on. So it's an option. So I want to say that having boots on the streets, but of course I want to also confess that the multiple opposition, including of course what we are doing tonight, does have an effect. I could say that it have an effect, but it does not mean that it will call early elections than what is constitutionally due. That's all I want. That's the point I want to make tonight. Why I'm saying so, because I thought enough pressure would, of course, Rowley to call elections, but no, it's not going to happen. But let's go to the lines. Plaza, good night. Welcome.
Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox Smith.
Yes, good night
I
to you as
have
well.
some things I have to touch on, and I want to try and see how fast I could explain
Go ahead,
it.
my friend. Go ahead, my friend.
No, this talk it had this morning on the ground report with the observers for election. Lennox, I see you try and you come out and you explain in a simple way.
Yes.
Right? You really explain in a simple way. And you just let them know that the observers will come. Right?
Yes.
But what I want to say is that Rowley have no say anymore. I heard Andy saying that the only person could have the observers come is Rowley. You must let Andy know in this situation here with Miss Persad-Bissessar, right? Right for observers. They will come, right? They wouldn't let her down. He lost all stripes there now. All stripes he lost, right? So we don't want people like Miss Woodbrook, when she hear this kind of thing about this, only Rowley could have observers come. She's saying that, we don't want for observers. No, we need to have observers here. And if we don't have observers, that's it. Kamala really draw the line, because I heard in the news tonight, she is going to take action, right? With this Young for his rudeness in his mouth. He go beyond. And I was saying in time to come, Miss Bissessar will answer him. That is what the answer will be. He will be disciplined. He out of order, all how. Right? And I find she should keep the pace, stay awake, don't fall asleep at all, and complain to the Organization of Americas. I keep saying that all the time. Let them deal with these scoundrels in that parliament. this government, let the Organization of Americas deal with them. Lennox, educate these people. You need the backup of the crowd. We need the backup. Is I alone advocating for this? I get blows all how, right? I talk to you thinking you was explaining with the artificial intelligence, right? And you have to keep ponging thing in people's head. Miss Arima, you keep talking and explaining to people, and this is what you have to do, because they will more believe in you than me. Also, the MPs and the opposition need to talk like that. They can't be coward. Time for cowardness gone. This country gone. This government failed. Come out and let the people hear all your voice on these things and educate the people. I don't want nobody tell me anything about when we're ready they will think. That is powder puffing. And if you leave the opposition so, they're going to fall asleep. I am not giving up. This afternoon on a program, a young man by the name of Paul only say something about the opposition. I don't have to go where he talk about it, because it's too much for me to explain. And they bash him and they bash him and they bash him as if that's so good. I say he damn right to talk out. And who don't like how I talking out? Too bad. Or they will get it even worse with how I talking out. The more you bother me, I come in harder. So let me don't make things too embarrassing. Right? It's time people speak out, because there's water more than flour inside of here. The Organization of Americas is the oldest organization in the world, and thank God we are a member and we protected under that organization. We have rights as a member state. I think I talk clear enough with my English for them to understand. Right? Have a good night.
Same to you, my dear, same to you. Well, of course, yes, I did this morning because somebody had asked about the whole question. And yes, the issue of the sole responsibility of the Prime Minister to invite, which is not necessarily enshrined in law, as I said, but because the Prime Minister has access to the state apparatus. In other words, all of the ministries, and they will have, of course, the security apparatus as well. And that is why it is incumbent on the Prime Minister in our system to do the invitation formally, in order for these people, if they make demands, for example, they want to see the EBC operations. Who will give them that authority? The EBC? If it is that they want to see a particular ministry, or they want to have access before the elections, and even during the election, but on election day, people must have a certain authority. You must be an election agent, for example, in order to visit a polling station without being an elector. And you as an elector, once you go there and you cast your vote, you can't go back. So that is why the Prime Minister in our system is given the authority and is expected not to frustrate the electoral process by utilizing his office, even though he has the option, he or she, to of course prevent that. And I'm saying again that Rowley himself is the example. Kamala could have said like him, she doesn't want any observers. She's not bringing any observers, and use the flawed and asinine and superficial and superfluous argument that we, according to Rowley, we are accustomed having free and fair election, no need for observers, and dogmatically, and of course, should I say, obnoxiously say no, no, no observers. He said that only for the local government. But he will have a hard time to say it for the national elections, because we have developed a tradition where observers will come here for at least the national elections. We have a tradition. He will have difficulty in putting it. But having said that, I want to say that you and I, as I have done, as I said, I read the letter to you, I wrote it to the EBC, through the Freedom of Information Act, so they have no choice, they must respond to me, in terms of how Grand Bay, that company that Rowley and them paid $5 million to help them out with their financial issue relating, of course, to not being able to pay their employees. They had a cash flow problem, it is called in normal accounting. Yeah, how come? And why it is that institution, having regard to the fact as to what the EBC did in 2015, extend the time, the court, that is in court documents, and then in 2020, Rowley orchestrated the non-presence of observers, even though there's a call for it by the opposition, and the population would not have mind that. He must know that, but use COVID, of course, to get his way. And then we see, of course, all kinds of questions coming out of that particular elections. And I want you to observe as well that in spite of his efforts in 2015, you see, he's not a likable fella, and the population clearly from day one, maybe they might have listened to Manning to some extent, but from day one, when you hear Rowley in 2015, when you have heard Rowley in 2015, talking about Kamala them corrupt, and of course he talked about the highway to Point Fortin, and he talked about, of course, the Rishmi, and he talked about, of course, the Section 34, and then, of course, he led marches and so on, and was able, of course, to inveigle the trade unions to support him and all of that. I want you to observe two things. Kamala went on and, of course, completed her term constitutionally. But more significantly, with that kind of attack on Kamala and the UNC by Rowley in 2015, he should have got a landslide, and I'm sure that he was hoping for a constitutional majority. But right now, he don't mind getting 21 seats. He don't mind getting 21 seats. Nice to tell you how desperate he is now. The man is a desperate man, and of course, he is paranoid right now. But a pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night
It's
to you.
me from Addresswork.
Yes, indeed.
I wasn't gonna call you, but I had to call because first of all, I didn't call before because the chat room gets really heated, and
Yes.
there's a lot of hate sometimes in the chat room. So I kind of mentally you have to kind of stay focused on
Yeah, no problem.
what
no
you
problem,
want
no
to come.
problem. I understand.
Cool,
I understand.
all right.
Yeah, I've been there. Yes.
So Lennox, right? When Stuart Young made that comment, I'm gonna go off on something.
Yeah,
when
go ahead.
Stuart Young made that comment,
Uh-huh.
when Stuart Young made the comment about Kamala going to the bathroom, with Miss Bissessa going to the bathroom, and he said she goes to,
Zamius.
I had no idea what a Zami was.
Yeah.
So,
Zamius.
I had to
Yeah, that's
ask
a
the
local. That's a
people.
local expression. You have to be local to know.
But the best part of that whole video was the guy who was doing the sign language because as he was talking, The sign language guy was like, what? He,
You
I
know,
wish he had interpreted.
I really saw him because I can't read sign language. So what he was really sign language in what they were saying. That way saying if you could read it, I don't know.
Yeah, he was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was like, there's a little oval on the bottom, right? And because remember the mics were not turned off, so it was still on. That's why you always hear those back talk. And sometimes, I could tell this behavior is symptomatic of what they've done in the past because it was so casual the way they
Yes.
carried
Yeah,
themselves.
It
And now I,
shows as a habit. It's habitual.
yeah, and now I know why people hate them so much, especially other UNC members. They'll say things like, God, you hear them, they're so evil, they're
Yes.
bullets, They use those words,
I
right?
think I think it was Munilal who was talking.
Uh-huh.
I think there was the issue of a colleague, and Munilal said categorically, no. I don't identify him as any colleague of mine. Let's get that clear. So there is a
Yeah.
genuine animosity, genuine hatred,
Yeah.
and it is well placed because this bunch of so-called government officials clearly deserve the wrath of the people, and I know in the fullness of time that will happen.
They insult us. It's insulting to
Yeah,
hear
of
that.
course,
In other countries, there would be an uproar,
Yeah.
But there's so many
in the parliament
distractions
itself,
with,
I saw
Yeah.
and even in the British Parliament, the mecca of our democracy, people almost will move to fight, to physical, threatening
Yeah.
people and so on. But of course, the president, no, not president, the Speaker of the House will have none of it. She is her own badger.
I think Stuart Young should speak to us like he speaks when the mic is usually off. But this is now the mic was on, so that's how they speak. That's their true self,
Yeah,
right?
that's the true self.
He
Yeah,
spoke,
definitely.
and we all heard
Pure and
we all heard
unadulterated.
him but laughing and giggling in the background. And what was they did this another time when Barry Parrott had got up to leave, and he was, I think they told him he had to because he was making some comment and he was really upset. And Stuart Young said it again. He said, "Take your pocketbook and leave." Or one of the other guys said it in the PNM side. Take your pocketbook and go. And the thing I don't understand with their behavior is it's almost sexist. It comes across as
No, it is sexist.
as
I don't think
homophobic.
almost. You can't use
Or
almost. It is sexist, and
it is there. They're hateful.
and the obscenity as well. I understand that might have been edited out because I didn't get it when I in my version of it, and I had the entire thing in that particular session,
Yeah.
not just the
But you
not
have
just the
to,
excerpt.
yeah, and they do this regularly. And now I've noticed, like, sometimes you'll see British Anna George or whoever is sitting up there, they'll turn the mic off right away. They'll just pause it because there's so much hatred going on.
Yes.
And I think sometimes they need to turn it on so the people can listen to what chaos is happening in there with this government of almost 10 years,
Yeah.
And I feel like when they do those editing versions of it, it's intentional to protect them and to keep them safe and to keep them well protected so they keep their positions and keep us in the dark. Because we right now are so worried about crime and people dressing like police officers, gangs. We
Yeah,
don't know who's the gangs and who's the
that's a new
police.
phenomenon now, a new dimension to the
Kidnappings,
challenges of the police.
Yeah.
Police now, and the population.
and Gary Griffith, when he was commissioner, he was talking about changing the uniforms, and it never happened. We should go back to the old days where they were in the short pants and the white shirts. So you see their legs, all the
I want to
tattoos,
tell you,
you see their arms.
the modern bandit will also do the same. So you can't get away.
Yeah.
You have to have good detection. You have to have good intelligence and
Well,
all of that. You have to find ways and means to preempt and anticipate. You have too much saga boys, as far as I'm concerned, saga boys and saga girls, doing police duties because it is a salary. But there is no real commitment to fight.
Yeah, they're just
crime
going in
fighting.
for their. Yeah, you can't fight the police. They're big and they're bold.
Yeah.
and they'll come up to you and they carry a gun.
Yeah.
And so this is the fear they incite in us, and we know they are corrupt. I'll tell you an example. When I was little growing up, I remember every time police came to a family member house and they had chicken farms or whatever, they would have to give them a free chicken. You have to give them what you have. And you do it out of fear because they have so much power over you, especially in isolated villages. You know what I mean? But I wanted to say that the way this country is heading right now, it's not going to get any better because the disparity between the rich and the
rich and the you seem to have a little problem there. It's disparity between the rich and the poor, I suppose she was saying. I'll just put in, or should I say, fill the lacune that was generated.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Yeah,
But what I was...
Your call
can you
seemed to
hear
have
me
dropped
still?
earlier, yes. You were saying,
Okay.
I put it in for you, but it's the disparity between the rich, and then, of course, it went silent. So maybe you can say it for yourself now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, what I was going to say is there were two guys who won a Nobel Prize, or maybe three of them, and they were researchers from Massachusetts. One of them was, I think, from MIT. And I called another program and I talked about it. And they said the reason why there's a disparity in income between rich countries and poor countries is because of colonialism. And they say in America, and they look specifically at countries like America and other countries too, but they say when the colonists were there, they took away a lot of wealth, and for generations, that wealth was carried on. And there's so much truth to that. So the poor people who were colonized took a long time to climb up, and when they did, they really never became super, super wealthy, you know what I mean? And if they did, they were probably like that guy Lee Chen from Jamaica, you know, with billions of dollars and corrupt. But what I wanted to also say was that in Trinidad specifically, we never really had a good history about last names and plantations and stuff like that, because you see all these streets with names of people who are serving in parliament, and usually they are from the colonial days, and then the last names don't match the faces that you see, and I believe that those were the people who came from those plantations, but we never talk about that. That because that disparity is that the rich and the poor. The rich were the ones who were the whites and the French Creoles, and the poor were the people who worked the plantation and got the names of their owners, you know what I mean? And so they talk about this a little bit. But what I wanted to say was that that wealth disparity will always be there if we have governments like what we have here in Trinidad. Because the Prime Minister believes in that morbid lie that the rich creates jobs and opportunities for the poor. It's education. Education drives innovation and invention.
That's right.
You know,
right.
and
Well said.
yeah, and we're not getting it here. You know, you look at these schools and the roof cave in. You look at these schools and a principal is afraid to come to school because of bullying, and that's a religious school, by the way, that's funded by the state. And yet you have maybe the master bar schools that are struggling, but they don't have the best of the schools. But inside the schools, they're really teaching kids. But if we're really doing all of this, why are we still
St. Augustine? Because it's
in the
fundamental
mud?
to the politics
You know what
and
I
the
mean?
belief
We're
to the
still
next election.
stuck.
And that is
when we send these people to
that
parliament,
the
nothing
UNC
changes.
repealed the property tax.
It's like, I know we don't expect overnight change like in a snap time, but it's been how long now? 50 years now? And we're still, people migrating. When they come back with their knowledge, they get ostracized.
For the record,
But when the Syrians and the Lebanese, all those other people come back with their children, they get good
statement
jobs.
made by my colleague from
I don't
St. Augustine,
understand.
because it's fundamental to the politics and the belief to the
Which
next
is the-
election.
yeah.
No jobs,
And
no
that
jobs
is
available in the public sector.
That the UNC
The only thing they
repealed
didn't say
the
it is
property
reserved
tax.
for those who we prefer.
Madam Speaker,
I know. I'll let you guys stay long on the phone.
Madam Speaker,
But the government is the biggest
What do I
employer.
have to do
All right,
here?
thank you. Bye.
to get them to stop saying that.
Thanks very much for your intervention. Let me just take this one.
The challenge to the property tax was there.
Tried to do several
Went to the
things
court,
at the time, people, so you-
and it was not proceeded with.
just a minute. I think that has.
And then, Madam Speaker, the government came to this parliament where some of them were present and enacted a waiver.
I'm ready for you yet. So
And the waiver was for a specific period of time.
I'm ready for you yet. All right. Okay. So let's go straight to the line. Let me just get that call going. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. All right. Let me just check something here. All right. It seems as though we have lost that call. All right. Caller, call back. I've lost your call. Sorry about that. I've lost it. We're trying to do something there. But let's go straight, of course, to that video that upset her clearly, and of course further demonstrates the incompetence and the impotence of this administration to really deliver what they claim they have the capacity so to do. So let's go straight to that and speak.
I choose my words very carefully.
Let's start from the beginning.
Well, they go run girls now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore, though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know, including camera.
You're going to use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shannon Zami.
Hey,
Don't call my name.
what wrong with you? Hey, boy, cool in the mic caller. Did you conduct divorce?
Clip of some school children from one of our schools in the West, young girls behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle.
Parents who breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teach us.
Well, I want to tell Mr. Superstar tonight, that is none of your goddamn business. Because as long as Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowdy's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive.
Her words are slurred. She's falling down all over the world. In the car, out the car. Nah. No man didn't dig it up in my button like that. Nah. No man didn't dig it up in my button like that.
I mean, there's some people who know they're getting on, you know. Kamala Prasad, Bissessa, and the UNC go and put that bill where the monkey put the nuts. I'm telling you, like she loved me all the man. And because she knows that I love women, she thinks I love any woman. I have taste. A lawyer who was on the verge of being your attorney general, sucking from the middle of the families, and she could jump high, she could jump low, she could drink this, she could drink that, she could back my tongue because I know she's jack. Coming with a quote telling you, vote for Pamela. That is tantamount to hugging up a porcupine to go to bed. Now, first let a woman, you gotta groom her every day. Otherwise it turns into a pasture.
I choose my words very carefully. You could behave as an effective opposition leader. I think the country is better for that. But geometry is not really the way to deal with these things. 1/3 of the murders in recent times are domestic violence or domestic issues. And then that, you call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men. Call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men.
Well, they go run girls now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore, though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know, including camera.
You're going to use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shannon Zami.
Hey,
Don't call my name.
what wrong with you?
Let's go to the lines in the meantime. I'll pause to go to the lines. Yes, of course, it is sexist, it is misogynic, it is obnoxious, it is unbecoming, it is immoral, it is unethical, it is despicable. It is, of course, unbecoming of a minister of government, a parliamentarian, and of course, it defies all principles. And therefore, on that basis alone, they should be hightailing out of the parliament and the government of this country. But no, as we have examined, that the tradition is that they will go because they have a legal, let's say, a force behind them, in that you have a 5-year period that ends in a particular month, and therefore they go down to the line. The history has shown that. So whether we have 1,000 people out there or less is irrelevant. We saw that with Eric Williams when, of course, in the Black Power days, he didn't call an early election. So I am satisfied that the argument for masses or boots on the road will not, of course, force a government out of office. I am convinced now. But let's go to Elijah. Professor, good night. Welcome.
Hey, Lennox, good night.
Good night.
You hear me good?
Loud and clear, my friend.
Right, well, I just walk in the bedroom and I hear that people only talking.
Yes.
You know what crossed my mind?
Tell me.
Kamala had to be careful when she walking in that parliament.
Yes.
She had to make sure she don't wander off into no room or by herself in any little corner.
Yeah, he's
She must
obsessed with
always-
her.
Huh?
He's obsessed with her. That's ugly son of a gun. You're ugly by looking for nice woman.
Yeah.
Under normal, if you didn't have them position, you couldn't get even the wife you have now. But go ahead.
Yeah. And make sure she has people, somebody that could protect she, because watch now. Look what they talk here recently, Short Young and them. And he talking all the time. She came to Mandela funeral, he come back and keep meeting and say, oh, she husband for a day. Remember that?
Yeah.
Heinz was picking up on that camera dress and she didn't have on no stocking. That is when Munilal tell him he saw she stink mouth.
Yeah,
Remember that?
yes. Yeah, remember that, yes.
So these fellas have a one-track mind with Kamala. And based on what Short Young said, anything possible. She can't afford to wander off in no corner in no little corridor by herself, you know. Always have somebody with she. You know where I'm coming from?
Yes.
Right.
No, I agree. These perverts, these predators,
Yes, they could do anything.
accomplish at that, and repetitive. The level of recidivism is unfathomable. But go ahead.
But, yeah. You know, today I hear Brian Manning, when they're talking about this thing what Short Young said. Imagine he apologizing on Facebook. Kamala ain't thinking that? Hey, what Brian Manning say? We are, BDP and them are a different breed of people.
Yeah, that's Rowley and he hogwash. That's what.
But we can see that by the state of the country.
They regurgitate what he said. They're like parrots.
Looking at the state of the country, we could see them with a different
A
kind
bunch of
people.
mumuks.
To the UNC people,
Yeah.
UNC progressive, they're going through, you know.
Of course they're going through, and they know it. It's just that they shame to lie down because they still have some time as far as the law is concerned and the presence that is permissible because of the law. Outside of that, under normal circumstances, they go on. Who in this modern time will tolerate statesmen like those? Where? Which society? Which society? Only in Trinidad, them fellas feel they could do that, be the scum of the earth, and say them things, and of course about women, and stay in public office, and then become some kind of self-righteous, convenient moralist. Hold on the tail, but go ahead, my friend. Yes.
I see some fellas went to the old lady house.
Yes.
And she tried to grab her cutlass, but she get caught. And they escape. Tell she they walk gold. Bandit, and they drive off. So I say, my cutlass talk, what talk? People listen.
Yeah, it seems to has in lieu of arming yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear you.
Stand
your ground.
Use a man do psychology, so you will know.
Yes.
They have a reverse effect on them bandit. Because what they have in their hand, they know could kill.
Yes.
But you know, when you pick up your cutlass, that could kill too.
Yes.
And next thing they must always keep next to them is that it's a big stone. You see big stone? A big stone is a deadly weapon, eh? Because the police, the real police ain't coming in your walking in your yard just so.
Yes, that's right.
Nah. So you could out and handle yourself. Let me tell you how these people is, boy. This one with him, they throw you out in the dog out, as Sean Ford.
Yeah.
You should live in Celia Street in St. Augustine. You know when they come to court and them and he get $2 million, you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the kind of people we deal with.
Yeah, conveniently.
Yeah, although they were people go to court.
Yeah. Remember that the former general secretary of the party,
Yeah.
Ford.
Ashton Ford.
Ashton Ford. Yeah, that's right.
I think he get $2 million and some achievement.
They orchestrate that, you know. They orchestrate that. This deliberations of the court. And the law does move in mysterious ways because they lost the file now for the guys that got the 20 million. They lost the file, and I mean, you know, they're up in arms and they want to appeal, they want to this and that and so on. But with Ford, they remain definitely silent. That is how convenient these fellas are and the kind of rapscallions that they are undeserving to be in office. They have no moral. They are morally depraved and, of course, vacuous to the hilt.
And who knows, I shall form if he had to give back Calvary and 500,000 or something because they hang you out to dry, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a rental
At one time, and until, of course, he got back by his conduct in their good graces. And I think he's the big man in CPEP now.
See? So he was renting, catching the backside.
Yeah, that's right.
Everything. That's
In
why,
Ireland,
you know.
Hippolyte are feeling sorry for, even though I ought not to, because I mean they left you out because he was a non-entity, and
Like you want to talk about this one.
yeah, this one, yeah. So he is suffering from cancer, and of course no help, and they have to go me fund online assistance for him. And I'm sure he could do with a little support now, but Rowley is that kind of hard-hearted, indurate individual who, of course, is a rapscallion to the hilt and will not, of course, bend to anybody who he considered to be discardable. You know, he must dictate whether you should eat or not, or in this case, convalesce or recover. Because he did it for coffee. He did it for coffee, not so.
He could go to the medical complex in St. James, Lennox. That doctor referred him to the medical complex in St. James.
All right, yes.
And they could treat him with this called chemotherapy.
Chemotherapy, yes, and so on, yes.
Yes, and radiation and these things.
Well, it's up to him. He has the choice. He's in this situation.
That doctor advised him and refer him to the medical clinic.
He has to go minimal. He has to go like a indigent, you know, somebody that is poor. Yeah, penury. Poor. All right.
So you see, that was this lecture I'm going to tell you.
Go ahead.
So all this scheme with the scheming, everything them doing is a scheme.
Yeah, everything they do is a scheme. It's never to genuinely address the problem of the society. It's always some scheme.
When I'm the next EBC office for in town. Election is every 5 years.
Yeah.
Not so?
Yeah. Some scheme they have up there, and it's some slush fund they want to create for election purposes, and they will come up with these puerile and simpleton argument to justify the stealing of or raiding the treasury of the country.
Like eat food.
Yeah, of course it is. I hope that will save them. Not in contemporary Trinidad and Tobago. People are too wise now. I mean, they have people like you and I, and of course, and others who would come on from time to time, because under normal circumstances, you can't get a minute on one of the traditional media networks. They run you off. They give you 2 seconds and they run you off and say time. Now we could go for 2 hours and into our convenience, and we get in the same audience and more.
But But you know, use about when you organize your thing, you have it well done.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And you know, the building, what they go building, go tell you it costs about how much 100 million.
Yes. Just in the efflux of time, things are going to work out. I'm certain of God. The only thing can stop that is if I die before. Well, I mean, there's nothing I could do then, but certainly once there is breath and there is life and there is, of course, that course of action.
I know you're going to fight you like a lion.
Oh, yes. But I wouldn't say like what former Prime Minister Basil Pandey will say though. If you see a lion, feel sorry for the lion, not me and that.
Feel sorry for the lion.
I take it that chance. All right, my friend.
No, but I will say, if I see you and Rowley in a fight, I'm feeling sorry for Rowley.
Oh, yeah, definitely. One cloud. That coward, you know. There's a standing joke in St. Babs. The fellow called Long Time Bajan hit him one slap in front of Balize house. He just watched him with Kotai and walk off. And ever since, if, as the people would say, if Barai could have killed, he killed him already.
I think he didn't fall on the ground too.
Yeah, I understand that as well. Yeah, that's a standard joke in St. Babs. I don't know why the people of Lamberton so gullible. I wouldn't say stupid at this point, but gullible, boy, because I can't understand how you have a situation where in 1986 you saved the PNM, and today you scrunting and you are in the backwaters of the consideration and priority of this government. You make a joke. If I was in the PNM in them days, I demanding that the entire party and Trinidad and Tobago recognize that it's we who save all you, and that therefore all you beholden to us, and not so, and always look for a unique place, a unique position. You see, as soon as I entered the UNC in 2007 in this UNC 18, I make sure that a whole section of the manifesto was dedicated to Lamberton, and there are other things that I would have done to suggest that is the focus. But when you have poor leadership and myopic people, because I mean I had to castigate despots. How the hell despots could just like lamb to the slaughter, just accept a place on Nelson Street from this government and still take the mama guys, still take the insult that tourists will come there. Right? After all of the countries from where these tourists would have been derived are telling their citizens, don't go Trinidad, but if you go Trinidad, don't go on Nelson Street. But Rowley put Desperados Pantheater $14 million on Nelson Street and then tell them he expects that after the visit, his vanity projects around the savannah, including of course the President House and Whitehall, they will come down Charlotte Street, go down Piccadilly Street, go down Nelson Street and come to visit and watch and listen to Good Sweet Pan. A Good Sweet Pan is the only truth in that. Yeah, the pan is sweet, but they will never come.
How come they outsmart them and exchange the land what pan they give them?
Right, and you had that as well. I mean, so we have so much to talk about. It's a bunch of con men who, as you rightly said, it's always something sinister. Nothing, of course, genuine for the people. And you cannot trust, you cannot depend, you cannot rely on people like that, especially if they're in government, utilizing our money. And that's what has hurt me, you know. And that's why I just talk so authoritatively, because it's our money, including theirs, but clearly they are not deserving of any damn thing. So it's the 1.5 million people minus them. Let them go the way they got enough. And blue lights and silver bracelet must be visiting them as soon as they get out of office in next year.
Maybe before.
And hopefully before. But the tradition and the culture has not demonstrated that. I'm satisfied with that because I was anticipating they would have called election 2 years ago. But that didn't happen. So I had to revise my position. And now that I have concluded, because Eric William didn't do it in the heydays of protests. I'm talking about the 1970 uprising. So this fellow will not do it. And Kamala didn't do it in spite of Rowley's attempt to treat with it. So it's about staying the course and living out, including, of course, Robinson. Robinson, too, ought to have, of course, called an early election, but he didn't. He he went up to the expiration date of his term in office. So I am not going to waste any time with people calling for mass protests and so on and so on and so on, because it has no impact on who is in office, except they're going to stay on until such time. Yeah, that's right, all that. And that'll happen. So I am not going to fool myself and say that I expect him to early election. But yes, I have another caller on the line. If you have anything. Thank you very much, yes. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Welcome.
Good
pleasant
night,
good night.
Lennox, it's Ken.
Hey, did you call my assistant?
No, I got a thing home, it come now, again tomorrow.
All right, okay, no problem. All right, we'll make arrangements.
I'll be home,
most
I
likely.
want to send that out.
All right, no
As
problem.
soon as I get home.
Yeah, tell me.
I get home by Friday, I want to send it out over the weekend. Anyhow.
Yes.
I have to say something.
Go ahead.
When Andy was talking this morning about one observers and if Rolly had his own power, he could do that. No. I don't agree with it. I did not agree with it.
Yes.
You know, you have other ways you could get that. I like Miss Arima. Miss Arima is come wrong. I love Miss Arima. She good. She know what I mean. She on the same page. I like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another two things. I'm trying to go through very quick. That guy who called from New York somewhere.
Yeah.
And talk about one Kamala to get somebody younger to put some Kamala over it. He out of line, man. Now let me tell you something. There are two parties. There are UNC and the PNM.
Yeah.
United States have two parties.
Yeah.
Democrat and Republican. I don't know what he was talking. Try to put young who. I didn't want to call him because I didn't want to call him. That no. Parry. That Parry guy cannot relate to me.
Uh-huh.
Live in my arrow. That is my mother. That is my mother. Sister.
Okay.
Husband.
Okay.
Brother, like his grandfather.
I see. Okay.
I went down there when I was young. About 13, 14, I went up to my own wedding down there. Right in the same house with Parry.
Okay.
Parry is a family up in Ocho Road. All the parenting in my family, my cousin anyway.
Oh, I see. Okay then. All right. Nice.
Cousin my Parry. All of my Parry is my cousin. I say blood cousin. My sister, my mother, sister's children.
Okay.
So, that Parry died, that's his grandfather.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. And next thing again, I know seen somebody talking about all these children getting kidnapped.
Uh-huh.
I hear no story about that. And I don't hear anybody talking about it. I just bring it up.
Oh yeah, okay.
And the next thing is that person who killed that child.
Yeah.
In a school zone.
Uh-huh.
He should be charged for that. Because let me tell you something. I drive this truck all over the state. I've been in New York. I've been in Los Angeles. I've been all about the state. In built-up areas going. And I'd be very careful. If you see children over there, be very careful. Slow down, right down. Watching, my eyes will feel like like orange. Always looking to see if anything could happen. And it's no excuse for that killer child.
Yes.
You see? And Stuart Young, what he said in the parliament there, if he has said that he'll get in trouble, right? He cannot say disrespect women like that, man.
All of them have that,
He cannot do that.
is guilty of that macabre characteristic. Macabre. They're simply evil.
That is I know how to call that, but in these later days, in this century,
Yeah, telling you, in
they
these
living
days, you're right.
back in the days,
Yeah.
you could say what you want. No, you can't. younger people hearing that, children hearing that. How the prime minister talk? Now you saying that what you want the children in school to learn? It's the same thing. They will pick up that, and that's why you have a lot of bullying. And people could talk to people how they want because they get it from the top. See?
That's right.
Just like you have a child and you're raising the child, and the child hearing things in the house to go outside and do the same thing.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So you have to be very, very, very careful, especially when
You
you
gotta be
have
very careful.
a leadership position, and clearly they have
Leadership.
betrayed that. They have betrayed that leadership quality that is expected of them. Yeah, I agree with you.
Right? If you don't have that kind of quality in you, you
Get
have
the
no
hell
right
out.
to be a prime
Get the
minister.
hell out.
You have no right to be there.
Yeah, get the hell out, man.
Right? I never see a prime minister talking like that. I heard all kind of prime minister talk, president talk. I don't see them talking like that in the parliament.
The man does not understand his role. He feels he's a gangster or a mafia or some
That Wajang, Wajang talk,
Wajang or some
Old talk,
yeah, some
outside talk, rum shop talk.
yeah, a gangster leader. That's who he is.
All right then, I'm going to keep you back.
Yes, my friend. Thank you very much for
yeah, I
calling.
had a thing for you. Yeah, I mean, I have to get the address and you know how you want me to send that. Because
Yeah, but I told you already. We could go through Korea, and we will collect on this side.
Korea.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right. So
You're not telling me which Korea.
yeah.
I know which Korea go down because I don't want to
All right.
send
Okay.
it the wrong place.
No
You know?
problem. No problem. We'll talk. We'll talk.
All right.
I would want to talk
All
with
right,
you
yes,
when you communicate. Right? Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, indeed, people. So several things we have to come to grips with that don't happen at that level in a democracy in a country like ours. How you could take far less for the prime minister talking. You imagine the first statement of that nature that a British prime minister make. You know they love to make comparisons, so let's make the foreign comparison or any part of the world make. But look, the series of nastiness this man say about women, and the question is, of course, where is the woman's arm of the PNM in all of this? Where are the so-called women's organization or the lobbyists for the advancement of women in this country? If they have spoken out, they certainly have not done so sufficiently repetitive, because I have not heard them. So they are not just not vociferous, but they are not repetitive. This should be something on the front burner of every woman in Trinidad and Tobago as to how Rowley and they see women in a contemporary Trinidad and Tobago. That is a classic case of immediate withdrawal and firing of yourself and demanded by the women folk in particular in this country. We are not seeing that. They are complacent and it's part for the course, and they make a joke of it and they laugh, especially those women in the PNM itself that would have been, of course, present to hear that nonsense that this man speak. Both and both, of course, Rowley and Seo Chung and they in recent times. So this is nothing new. And they're going to try, of course, to stay there as long as they can, and, of course, try to remain silent. We must make it a front burner issue. Our president oh boy. Sorry about that caller. Call back. Sorry. I inadvertently, of course. Yeah, let me just. Yeah. Sorry about that caller. Go ahead.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
Who you talking about? Leave Zambi man Stewie alone. Only leave him. He forgiven TV6 runner people meet her tonight and 74% of the people said forgive him.
Oh,
he had a genuine and sincere apology. Right? So he's to be forgiven. Leave the man alone. He went on Facebook and apologized. He didn't come up in open and say that, you know. You could believe foolishness like that? Oh gosh, that's why all I want for government.
Well, I don't
And
even
Heinz come
believe
up-
that's a genuine poll. Frankly,
He can,
no woman,
well,
especially when his leader has been repetitively making statements like that. What
them like that,
what I
them
put
like,
together
them like
tonight
Wajang behavior.
is just
Yeah, like the
few.
Wajang behavior,
Yeah.
Lennox.
yeah.
He doesn't see when he go in them
So I
political
don't.
meeting and he's talking
I wouldn't
foolishness.
accept. I don't think women would want to embarrass themselves in the way
Them
by
don't
saying that
care.
they
Them
forgive him.
don't care, Lennox.
No,
These women don't care.
I still
The
didn't accept
party in
that.
power, that's all, you know.
no woman
The
could
party in
accept that.
power, you could say what you want.
Yeah.
You doesn't hear them on these talk shows and on these PNM shows. Whole day today they're backing up that statement. Whole day. Woman calling and backing up that too. And then they chastising Kamala for all kind of thing. How she let Toppin go and talk here and Anel Roberts and this all kind of stupidness coming out of their mouth. Their mouth like toilet. And Heinz come out and talk today, Lennox. He come out and talk today and
Yeah.
say he not taking responsibility for the crime situation in the country. It's the population fault. Well, yes, I agree with him. I totally agree with him, especially in the areas.
To have
all the
that
PNM control
government in
areas.
office. I agree with you. To have that government in office. Yeah.
All the PNM control areas where the crime taking place is them responsible for the criminal activities, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's not Heinz. He not here to protect and serve nobody. He's serving himself and his friends and the family and finances, and that is what count. Everybody else, crap or smoke your pipe. They kill a man this morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, break in the man's house and beat the man to death. Heinz ain't responsible for that. It's the people around there that's responsible. So he ain't taking nothing like that. The man get kidnapped, the man responsible for your own kidnapping, not he. Ola, well, she may be doing prayer, she may be having a prayer vigil, because nobody can see she at all, nothing at all. The woman deaf, blind and dumb. But she have she little parrot, the one that call her Martin,
Yes,
she come
yes.
out and talk, and I tell you, Martin after the walk, you know, she after that commissioner of police job, that's why she talking whole face now and talking like a rubbish all over the place. Listen, this PNM government bankrupted and they're totally bankrupted.
Of course.
And the people who
Long
is
time ago.
supporting them, the people who supporting them just as bankrupt as them. Just imagine in Guyana today, the president went back and retract the $200,000 he given as a house, each to household, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said he giving it to individuals 18 years and over. So he's spending more money. He giving $100,000 a one-time payment, 100,000 Guyanese dollars to each citizen now over 18 years and over. And he went and he added on to the tertiary education that he given to all compliant citizens who want to go to university. He realized now everybody can reach it. You know, the man extended the technical and vocational individuals too, people who want to do craft and all these other things.
That is what you do. You spend the money on the people for greater returns later down the road, because education, as one caller said this earlier, is of course the source of liberation, the source of enlightenment, and the source of advancement. They understand that. How Rowley and they understand the first thing he do is take away laptops. That by itself should have he catapult out of office.
Not the way they support. You see these supporters and them Lennox, them drinking Balizé juice. If Jim Jones was from Guyana, come here and get them that juice later drink, they go drink it once it's up in a PNM jersey, you know. They will drink it, they're drinking Balizé juice. Them don't care about the family and they turn down the road, Lennox. They don't care once they party in power. They will take the suffering. Them are accustomed to that, you know. Them don't want nothing. Lennox, just imagine if you giving them anything, right? A grant or baby grant or any of these or one-off thing that they're giving these people. These people, let's say, why is they giving people that for and they're giving them handouts? You understand?
Yeah,
If
they say
the Guyana is
populist. They have a term now, they're saying it is a populist statement, but they give $2 on the minimum wage, and that is not populist. But Kamala say it should be 5, and she would make it 5. Them say it's populist, and that shouldn't be. So they're getting more. The PNM giving them less, but somehow there's an argument that 2 is more than 5. I just don't understand that logic.
Like, you not realize that, Lennox? In PNM logic, less is more and more is less. You understand?
and right is wrong, and wrong is right.
Right. Listen, when Malcolm Jones and all of these gas, liquid plant and all these other things, gone up in smoke. They know them ain't calling out for that. But little $30 million from this live sport thing, that's a big achievement, you know. It's big for them to get back that money, but all the money in live sport, gas, the liquid, going down the drain. Yeah, this airport scandal, what they call it, boy, what man he had that and all. They never, what should I say, thing with that, you know. They're always against the UNC for the little that they thinking, but the more that they spend and lose, even the rapid rail, you dig out all the train track, right?
Yeah.
Remove it. Throw it down in Brazil, I think they carried
500
it.
million for
500 million.
Yeah.
To run that.
Yeah.
I want to do, these people who do that survey, maybe that's what you play something, boy. They can't on track there, you know. $500 million easy in your pocket, boy, Lennox.
Yeah.
You know what $500 million can I do in the country? And them to be quarreling for small money they're getting from all these other things where UNC do. But big money them waste and they don't see it like that, you know. But the money drying up, you know. It drying up like the sun drying up everything here in this country. But they don't want nothing better than to suffer. Let it take their suffering here. Let it take it while they can. Because I'm telling you this, they claiming they're waiting for 2027 to get something. All them pensioners between now and then, them go see so much hardship. They might go to the grave earlier than they can collect a dollar from this government in the year 2027. And how much you think this Prime Minister will get them? $100 or $200 on a pension? Nothing in guaranteed with them. Nothing at all. You wasting your time voting for that. But I'm telling you this, the man continue going up on platform and saying hardship ahead until 2027. I want to read that man right attack. When you see them come back in power, everything that done going up, you know, and people go hold their head and ball, all who vote for that, right? And here's this. Me ain't taking that nonsense like them, you know. All right, have a good night.
Yes, well, I hear people planning their exit from the country and all of that. It has happened before. A lot of the Indian community migrated to Canada and living, of course, a better life there, contributing, of course, to the development of Canada. I remember writing an argument for the Canadian Authority for a lawyer. In fact, that was the first time he said that, Smith, I wish I was you. I said, why? You see, well, Lennox could do what he could do, but he can't do what I could do. So eventually, of course, the people did, in fact, get their status because they were arguing for refugee status, running from, of course, the Manning administration at that time. So we know what is possible. So maybe another wave of Trinbagonians going abroad, and maybe Rowley and they are comfortable in, of course, accommodating more Venezuelans. Who knows? And therefore, the should I say the demography or the cultural and racial composition of Trinidad and Tobago will once again go through a metamorphosis, a change. But let's complete that particular video about this despicable statement made by the Minister of Energy, George Young, and others in concert with the Minister of Finance. And of course, pulling up the background is Rowley himself. And of course, whether or not it is sufficient to simply go on Facebook and say that he is speaking, of course, to the sycophants, clearly. And of course, I cannot see an ordinary woman with pride and dignity would, of course, accept that, having regard to what the Prime Minister himself have said about women. Where are the women lobbyists in this country? Where is the feminist movement? They are definitely silent. And maybe I will talk about that in concert with or in conjunction with, of course, the silence of the religious ecclesiastic class in this country, and their betrayal of the moral and ethical fabric that they ought to nurture and to render prevalent in Trinidad and Tobago, but instead they remain complacent in the background and say nothing, because there must be some consistency. Making one statement is irrelevant. What you should be doing is, of course, speaking it on a daily basis. since this came out, and every night I am playing, of course, that statement, because it needs to be inculcated. You need to assimilate. You need to find the various nuances as to why a man would be saying that about a woman. Granted, whether she is former prime minister or opposition leader, as the case may be, but that is misogynic at minimum, and therefore that cannot be tolerated in modern day Trinidad and Tobago and modern day world. The first sign of that, they're gone in a real country that has a respect for women. The women clearly who accept that and say nothing about it in particular. It's not sufficient to, of course, to stay in your living room and your bedroom and have it in your head and don't come out and talk about it. They will be emboldened because, of course, silence breed what? Silence breed and mean consent. That's how they see it. And they could do it over and over because they get a nebulous, of course, and very tenuous majority. He will settle for 21 seats. I say Kamala should get 26 seats. And the UNC when the 2025 elections come around for what they have done to the psyche of the people. And let me tell you this, don't be surprised. I will not be surprised if Lavatil and they join in the landslide that ought to be for the UNC and Kamala Persad-Bissessar at the next occasion.
Hey, wait, cool in the mic on. Did you contact the boss?
You can't use the PTSD buses anymore though, but you can bring the girls for all, you know. Including Kamala.
You're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shin and Zami.
Hey, wait, cool in the mic on. Cool in the mic on.
Yes, people, that is what we have operating in our parliament.
He would run girls now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore though, but you can bring the girls for all, you know. Including Kamala.
You're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shin and Zami.
Hey, what?
Don't call my name.
Where are you? Hey, wait, cool in the mic on.
Yes, people.
Want for the record to deal with this statement made by my colleague from St. Augustine.
Before we go, because last night I did, of course, make reference to show the duplicitous and two-facedness of Rowley on the question of property tax. And I thought I should put a video together to reflect that. That will be, of course, shown on YouTube and Facebook and so on, so you get a chance to see it. But here it is. How the hell you come with another story about property tax? Saying now that you was paying that since you was 17 years of age. Property tax. The man say in the parliament last week, and then pretending as though he never said that it was an evil tax, it was a dastard tax. I could never remember the word that he uses when I want to recall it automatically. But you'll hear it tonight. What he said about the tax, and what he said that it was dealt with because Kamala and they were reverting, coming back to the land and building taxes that we were paying before until Manning tried to change it around 2008, 2009. And he Rowley opposed it. Now the man going on as though he holier than thou. I say, look, he two-faced. And you would see that he double ugly. Double ugly. Wicked man. And watch his body language as if you come from Mars, you would believe that he's talking the truth. But any part of the globe now, you know that he's carrying a propensity for lying. His mendaciousness is unfathomable. Listen to him. Listen to him in the new dispensation. Listen to him.
I want for the record
to deal with this statement made by my colleague from St. Augustine, because it's fundamental to the politics and the belief to the next election. And that is that the UNC repealed the property tax. Madam Speaker,
I want you to understand how opportunistic, how parasitic, and the political combo that Rowley is. Now, Idisha Amin, the representative for St. Augustine, might have a slip of tongue, but everybody knows what the history is. Whether she said that the tax was repealed by the UNC between 2010 and 2015, that ought not to attract his attention, because the facts are that the UNC did not implement property tax. But because she said, according to them, I ain't read it yet, so I want to confirm, because I'll add it to this clip when I get it, because I have it. But let's say that he's right, that she made a mistake and say that the UNC repeal. You know, he gone and focusing on the repeal part without, of course, apologizing to us that he said that the property tax was dealt with and that Kabila and they were reverted back to the landed building taxes, and no way property tax could have been instituted, or it could have meant that they leave it for Rowley and them to implement. And worse yet, he was saying all the time that he will never, incoming PNM will never implement property tax. That is that dog, that cur, saying in the parliament in 2015, during the launch of the manifesto, with all kinds of persons from all over the world listening to that hogwash and that lie. That's why he's a double liar, double-faced, double liar. Understand that. And just because there is a notion about a repeal that might have been a mistake, and I want to show you how it is consistent with this fella opportunistic Kobo-like for political advancement, because he remained silent about A.V. Gillen. When A.V. Gillen, in a so-called botched, what I consider to be orchestrated arbitration, because he put his lawyer to be chairman to sanitize the documents. So let's not waste time. But the point is that he said nothing when A.V. Gillen got more money and got, of course, more contracts. If was a UNC financer, like how we hung down, of course, even Ferguson, nothing nice to say. And of course, his counterpart, who died recently, because they connected to the UNC. But so long as they connected to the PNM, as far as he is concerned, they could do no wrong. And emptying the blasted treasury and depriving young people of an opportunity and causing people to gravitate to a life of crime and criminality and poverty galore. Nothing different to his argument when, of course, Lee, the chief whip of the UNC in the parliament, in the lower house, said, and by mistake, 400 million was used, of course, to maintain Train 1, LNG, Train 1. 400 million, he say. But they corrected it and say it's 200 million. And 200 million became, of course, the argument. When in fact, the argument is that you shouldn't put a cent because there was no need to put that money. And what is clear is that it was about, of course, getting a slush fund conveniently to, of course, manage the 2020 general elections. That is what that was all about. Had nothing to do with, of course, getting a better deal with, of course, Train 2 and Train 3. Hogwash! And we showed you that with respect to another matter, with the 850 million bullet payment that had to be had to be paid by the August, and thus, of course, the original, the initiated, the genesis reason for closing down Petrotrin, when you had the option to renegotiate the dam loan, which in fact happened, but yet still you closed down Petrotrin. How long the tail, all the criminals, evil. So I want to use this to show the pattern of behavior and how opportunistic and Kobo-like predatorial nature of these fellas, and that they are toxic, and that they are evil, and that they are wicked, and that they are Luciferian, and that they are unfit for office from the beginning. So hear him making the argument, pulling out that piece as if he's squeaky clean, as if he didn't say that the UNC dealt with the property tax already and he was in agreement, and therefore the property tax will never be. Don't believe me? Listen to him.
Madam Speaker,
Two-faced
what do I have
ugliness.
to do to get them to stop saying that? The challenge to the property tax was there, went to the court, and it was not proceeded with. And then, Madam Speaker, the government came to this parliament, where some of them were present, and enacted a waiver. And the waiver was for a specific period of time. That waiver ended by intervention and English letters in this parliament. The waiver ended, and thus the existing property tax law became force. That happened in 2014 to effect in 2015. So when we came in September 2015, the following couple of weeks, 1st of October 2015, the waiver would have died. The waiver would have expired. So the Property Tax Act became in full force. I want to repeat that. As a result of a position taken here by Minister Larry Owai of the UNC in this place, the waiver that was being enjoyed put there by them for political reasons, axed the tax. The axe became dull, and there was no axe. After September of 2015, I became leader of this team, Prime Minister, on the 9th of September 2015. And from the 1st of October, the new fiscal year, the Property Tax Act came back into force as enacted by the PNM. It was never repealed. And I don't want to use the word again because I don't want to annoy my colleague from Converso, but it applies to St. Augustine. Madam Speaker, all of that is meant to fool the public, because some people in this country trust them to speak the truth, but they're selling the pig in a bad market. They have a difficulty in speaking the truth. What they did, they went to court and argued against the tax that I was paying since I was 17 years old.
Listen to him.
Live from the Hyatt Regency Hotel.
Morning. My name is Nisa Pei, and I'm happy to welcome you to the official launch of the 2015 Manifesto of the People's National Movement. I now invite, the political leader of the People's National Movement, Dr. the Honorable Keith Lowry.
We have about 20 or 25 minutes, and having detained the media for so long, we would be happy to take a few questions on any matter which you may want to raise now.
Live from the Hyatt Regency Hotel. The People's National Movement 2015 Manifesto launch.
The dreaded property tax. The dreaded property tax. I heard a UNC minister, I think it was the famous Prakash Ramadan,
telling people that the PNM will bring back the dreaded property tax. Let me make it abundantly clear. The property tax has already been dealt with. The property tax has already been dealt with. What the UNC government did a few years ago, they returned to land and building taxes in phases. They returned to land and building taxes in phases. The first phase of bringing the tax back was to treat with commercial properties. The second phase was agricultural properties. And the third phase, which is the residential. So as I speak to you now, arrangements are already in place, put by this UNC administration, for land and building taxes, for residential properties to come back into being, after September 7th. After September 7th. That was done by Larry Hawaii when he became Minister of Finance. So for anybody in the government now to be telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back the dreaded property tax, the highest level of dishonesty, which has been the hallmark of this UNC government. So I'm glad you raised it, so I make it abundantly clear. Land and building taxes for residential properties have already been put back in place to come into being in 2015. Put there by the UNC government.
I want for the record to deal with
so hear him last week.
Statement made by my colleague from St. Augustine, because it's fundamental to the politics and the belief to the next election. And that is that the UNC repealed the property tax. Madam Speaker, what do I have to do to get them to stop saying that? The government came to this parliament where some of them were present and enacted a waiver. That waiver ended by intervention and English letters in this parliament. The waiver ended, and thus the existing property tax law became force. That happened in 2014 to effect in 2015. So when we came in September 2015, the following couple of weeks, 1st of October 2015, the waiver would have died, the waiver would have expired, so the Property Tax Act became in full force. The waiver that was being enjoyed put there by them for political reasons, axed the tax. The axe became dull, and there was no axe after September of 2015. I became the leader of this team as Prime Minister on the 9th of September 2015. And from the 1st of October, the first of the new fiscal year, the Property Tax Act came back into force as enacted by the PNM. Madam Speaker, all of that is meant to fool the public. Because some people in this country trust them to speak the truth. But they're selling the pig in a bad market. They have a difficulty with speaking the truth. What they did, they went to court.
Let's pause here. We have a caller on the line. A pleasant good night. Good night to you, my friend.
Sorry for jumping in so late.
Yeah, it's all right.
Some outstanding.
Yeah, no problem.
Mr. Lennox?
Yeah.
Unpleasant good night to the right thinking citizen of this beloved country, Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Lennox, I want to ask something. I recall when my political leader, my distinguished political leader, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, had internal election on hold, and PNM people and Balize House balling, she not supposed to be there. She don't want to keep no internal election. And Mr. Lennox, I think a convention was postponed. I think a internal election was. I'm not hearing nothing from the PNM.
They get pipped.
PNM go on site.
Yeah, they get pipped.
What are people afraid about this ball head man? So
I don't know, boy. This blasted criminal, yes, this. Yeah, rapist and a blasted pedophile. I want to pay these people. This scum of the earth. Yeah, crush him. He must be crushed. He mustn't believe that somehow he's really a prime minister. He's a lame duck government. Yes. Of course, they slap him already and he remain quiet and only watching people bad eye. They only bad when they in that position. It's only he Hines and all of them are blasted and are cowards. But playing bad when they in government, yeah. Yeah.
I don't convention everything postponed and PNM to silent. I just want to know sometime if PNM in the library right now because it's silent.
Well, I went a little further. I said they will be underwater and hopefully drowning. Yeah, for the silent. Yeah.
They know everything about the PNM. They know everything about my leader. And she this and she that. But you know, thing postponing, none of them. Oh my God, Father help me. But I tell them I just call in.
Yeah, but I see we had called for the ecclesiastic class in the society, the religious groupings. We have tonight, of course, we call on the women, the women's organization, and those who believe in the feminist movement. And I see today, I see that people who were formerly, of course, very critical of the UNC, whether it be Roger, whether it be people like Mariano Brown, even, of course, Tishera and they. But I see another one is added of this fella from who, of course, run every year to commemorate the coup. I talk about Eversley. I see he is now condemning the statement made by Stuart Young. But you always have to question their agenda. But prior to that, it is good therapy that at least they start the process. Go ahead.
That's correct. But to Weldon Eversley, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We welcome in all of them. If only now shall see the sun rising to the east, we are welcoming all you. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yes, that's what Rowley say. I agree with you.
The open the eye now is better than they ain't open the eye at all.
Yes.
But I must say this, some of the religious leaders, not all of them, but a couple, them does only wait for when bag of money passing around. And I take no apology for that.
No, don't, because it is pathetic that they are silent. Yeah, it's pathetic that they are silent. Go ahead, man. You say, let your spirit move you. Yeah.
But when my leader was in office, they didn't know this, they didn't know she did that, they didn't know the country this and goodness is coming and they're telling the people in the church how to vote. We don't know it have thing in the church where they're telling you how to vote and all these different things. No, we see a prime minister come out. How dare Dr. Rowley could tell the public to tell he is not responsible and the PNM is not responsible for the murders and all that thing.
Yeah.
How dare that man say that?
Yeah.
And nobody questions that. But I want to know what I'm afraid about that man.
Well,
Who's afraid a little bit?
I think he has achieved the deepening of the hatred, the animosity, and the recrimination that he's going to blast it get when that time comes. He has a couple more months. He has several more months, but I am certain when those people the hang-ons start to dismantle themselves like flies and disassociate themselves with him, then he will know what cheese position you have. Like the cheese, he left alone.
And before I go, Mr. Lennox, I want to make a prediction.
Go ahead.
And my prediction is 145% it will happen. 2019. 27, my political leader will get 27 seats in this upcoming general election.
And I agree.
Have a blessed night.
I agree with you, my friend. That has been my prediction as well, 26, 27. Yeah, but I will go with 27 because you say so. Yes, indeed, because you're seeing what I am seeing as well. Birds of feather flock together, my friend. But let's finish here because it's 8 minutes past 10 already.
The tax that I was paying since I was 17 years old. What they did, they went to court and argued against the tax that I was paying since I was 17 years old.
Live from the Hyatt Regency Hotel, the People's National Movement 20.
So notice, he paid property tax since he's 17 years, but since that's a long, long time ago, he's almost when he was living in cave. And mind you, property tax never existed then. It's only around 2008. But he puts that flavor to it to make it sound as though he's talking the truth. And you have those nincompoops. Now, yeah, I could call them nincompoops all over Laventil and these places and the East West Corridor. Listen to this hogwash, this nonsense, this putrid, this despicable man, this rapist and pedophile, this predator, this political kobo.
2015 Manifesto launch.
So as I speak to you now, arrangements are already in place, put by this UNC administration, for London building taxes for residential properties to come back into being after September 7th. That was done by Larry Hawaii when he became Minister of Finance. So for anybody in the government now to be telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back the dreaded property tax, the highest level of dishonesty, which has been the hallmark of this UNC government. So I'm glad you raised it, so I make it abundantly clear. The property tax has already been dealt with.
And that is the despicable nature of this man. He know that. So don't tell me that it's a mistake. It's no mistake. You do, the old people have a saying, you do it once, all right. You do it twice, all right. But 3 times, this man doing it 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and in clumps, in batches, in segments of years over the last 9 years so far. Come on. Yes, like me, you should acquire the ability to hate only because of the disrespect and the dishonesty of this man, playing Prime Minister and brutalizing our treasury, not working in our best interests. And he has the audacity, the temerity, the gall and the effrontery to come and put a new twist to our old issue. Too much times, whether it be Sandals, whether it be Seabridge, whether it be Petrotrin, whether it be the highway to Point Fortin, whether it be, of course, the intervention with respect, of course, to the Police Service Commission, whether it be, of course, his friend and the TCT, $400 million investment in the purchase of Amplia, whether it be the highway to nowhere, to the Manzanilla Highway, $400 million, and we can go on and on. Of course, we can also look at the whole question of the recusal and the evisceration of that, and the amount of ministers, including him, that, of course, use the cabinet to enrich themselves by recusing, and the partner, of course, will go away with the ham, lamb, and jam. Whilst, of course, our children gravitating to a life of crime. And then they're saying that they're not responsible. Not responsible. That is criminal. That is criminal, people. But of course, as every good thing, bad thing will come to an end as well. Well, of course, it's already 12 minutes past your 10 o'clock. And of course, we have come to the end of tonight's exercise. Pleasant good night to all and sundry, meaning that have a good rest of the night. God bless. But of course, we started with the whole question of musical destruction of Trinidad and Tobago. I think we should end with that as well. King Austin, in his prediction in song, I think is very appropriate.
Today, when I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sand while walking through time. I see fruits of our ambition, figments of our imagination, and I ask myself,
yes, people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's exercise. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. So don't forget, we see each other tomorrow morning on the ground report, of course, carried by the Corridor Transformation as well. Andy, Mikey, and myself. Have a wonderful one. God bless. I thank you, of course, for being such a informed and contributory audience. Bye-bye.
Really think of it. I just wonder why. Oh, why? I see charity deplored, equal rights totally ignored, wisdom and ingenuity working in accord, simply to afford such inventions as thermonuclear warfare and environmental warfare. And I wonder now, where do we go from here? Prophets everywhere gaze upon the horizon and declare that judgment will come as the savage hands of unscrupulous men pile everything pass by. Time is running out as we eat and drink, species at the brink of being extinct. And I think no one can deny that the price of progress is high, real high. I see consciousness as great as today we live recklessly. Money make egos inflate and thereby create a turbulent state. I see a struggle between the sexes, new hang-ups and old complexes. Now the question is, right in context, what shall be next? I've already seen this world have come divided between race, color, creed, and class. And some of the things the scripture predict should fully come to pass. Soil that wouldn't bear children, making children to be a part of this growing mass. And I ask, if this is progress, how long will it last?
Everything silent.
to feel policy. A government to the joke, a government to the fight we down, a government to the smoke, a government with integrity. Now look how they understand. A government in sweetie and tea. Now without the bullet man, everybody. Rowley at a go, Rowley at a go, Rowley at a go, Rowley at a go, Rowley at a go. Tell them go, Rowley at a go, Rowley at a go, Rowley at a go, Rowley at a go. Now everybody let's vote, vote them out, vote, vote them out, vote, vote them out. The Rowley time to resign, vote, vote.
From the Trinidad, location 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. SOS, SOS, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Help! Help! The Trinidad, a luxury liner, sailing the Caribbean Sea with an old captain named Eric Williams. Oh yes, sail smooth and free. But sadly Eric Williams passed away. The ship hit rough water that day. Someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a ball. Captain, this ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. The Trinidad, oh, she was a beauty with wealth that few surpassed. And in her day, she sailed majestically. There were few in her class. Faithfully, she fulfilled her sailor's need. Some were overpowered by greed, and so they pilfered slow. Some took by bulk and go. Now she looked dull, she's at a lull. She could barely sit on her hull. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. From the Trinidad, location 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. SOS, SOS, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Help! Help! The Trinidad, a luxury liner, sailing the Caribbean Sea with an old captain named Eric Williams. Oh yes, sail smooth and free. But sadly Eric Williams passed away. The ship hit rough water that day. Someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head